Respect all you guys' time. Let me get the slideshow up and we'll be good to go. So I'm just gonna do a quick introduction and we'll get this discussion going. Work? No, it doesn't want to work. All right, we'll do it this way. All right, so guys, we're gonna discuss multiple offers and increasing our conversion, our ability to obtain in these type situations. Just a quick introduction. My name is Ron Lugashi with the Zamir Group, Keller Williamstown Life. Technically, we do have our own mega agent office in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. We are the top team in the entire NJMLS for the last 6 years. We've just eclipsed 160 million for this year, and we're gonna keep going.
Pretty awesome.
So that's me, and I always like to start off with a quote, if that's okay. So discipline is consistency of action. How does that relate to our line of work? Well, we're looking for it to be successful, to have longevity in this line of work called real estate, in this career we've chosen for ourselves. And that requires discipline, right? And discipline is great. You need to have consistency, and consistency in taking action day over day over day will provide us the success, the results, the outcome, the accomplishment, the achievement that we're looking for. That's how it relates to our line of work. How am I not able to get the slideshow up properly? Hold on for a second. There we go. No. Just a moment, guys. I'm trying to get, sorry, slideshow up, and it's not working with me, but I'll have to no, yes, maybe. I don't know, guys. Let's just do it this way. All right, so let's talk about multiple offers. I think before we talk about multiple offers in general, how to obtain in these type of situations and strengthen your offers, let's talk about the market conditions for a second, right? Actually, I'm going to stop share so I can actually see you guys. What type of market conditions are we in, guys?
Still a very strong seller's market with very low inventory.
Seller's market, absolutely. What else? Can we expand on that?
Low inventory.
Mm-hmm. And what are we seeing? Because
we still have buyers. We still have buyers. Buyers who are unable to buy are still out there looking for that home.
Well, it's not that they're unable to buy, it's that they're having a challenge in purchasing, in obtaining, right? So I found that buyers are able to buy, but they have to try a little bit harder, right? They have to submit a few more offers. They have to keep looking. They have to keep pushing forward, have to keep submitting offers until they get the one, right? So it's not that they're unable to, you're only unable to if you actually stop. We have been able to obtain homes for our buyers. It takes a little bit more work, effort, and time, right? So to expand on what the market conditions are, it's a very strong, difficult, challenging, volatile seller's market with low inventory, high demand, and multiple offer situations. Sounds about right? All right, great. So what can we do as agents to improve our conversion? What can we do as agents to increase the likelihood that we obtain in these type of situations? That's exactly why we are here today. So my goal today, my intention today is to provide you as much value as I possibly can so that you can improve your conversion, work less, make more. Doesn't that sound great? So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and we'll get back into it. Let's see if I can actually get the slideshow actually working this time. Just a moment. That's okay. I'll just leave it like this. I know you guys probably don't mind. So let's talk about strength of offer and how to strengthen our offer, because the name of the game is not highest offer. When you run into these type of scenarios, the name of the game is strength of offer, right? You don't have to necessarily be the highest offer to obtain. You do need to be the strongest. So how do we strengthen our offers? Well, the very top of the list here, you see it says relationship with agent. So how does relationship with agent actually help us improve the likelihood of obtaining in these type of situations? Now, if you know, let's just give you a theoretical scenario, right? Monsi is Mrs. Listing Agent, and she has 8 offers on the table, and the top 2 offers are very close, and one of them is from me, which we've worked together. She knows my attorney, she knows my lender, she knows I prepare my buyers really, really well. She knows I'm going to do whatever it takes to get at the closing table. And then there's the other offer, and she doesn't know who the agent is. She doesn't know their lender. Who's Monsi choosing to advise or recommend their sellers to move forward with? There was a theoretical, rhetorical question, of course, the one that she's familiar with. So we're having a previous historical relationship with a particular agent does go a long way, is advantageous to our clients. Now, what if we're a new agent? What if we don't have a previous relationship with the listing agent? Well, you can do this one thing, just this one thing you can do to be better than the rest of the agents out there and to help improve your conversion. What's that one thing?
Call them.
That's it. Now, how does that make you better than 90% of the agents out there? How does that make you better? Because I'll tell you, we have multiple offers all the time on our listings. The ratio of agents that actually call us to obtain information, to connect with the other agent is very low. Very low. It's about 1 for every 10 offers we receive, 1 agent will call to ask questions, obtain information, and connect with the listing agent. Now, that also leads me to the question, are the other 9 out of 10, are they promoting their buyer's best interest? And the answer is, of course, no. They're not being the best buyer's agents they can possibly be. So all you need to do to be better than the majority of your traditional buyer's agents out there is do this one thing. Pick up the phone. That's all you need to do, is just pick up the phone and ask some questions, connect with the listing agent. When you do that, that is forming a type of relationship. You're having the ability to connect, to build rapport. They know you, you know them. You have the ability to connect with them at a much higher level compared to not calling them at all, right? And a lot of agents, I think what they do is they do this. They cross their fingers, they say a little prayer, and they press click, click. They don't even bother checking if they actually receive the offer or not. So it does make sense to just pick up the phone, connect with the agent. That is a type of relationship. Of course, even as a new agent, we need to do some prep work. This next one on the list is called expertise. That's where we do our prep work a lot of the time. It's also where it gives us the ability to connect with agents as well. Expertise goes a long way in these type scenarios, especially if you know the inventory, you know what houses are selling for, you know what the the other comparable homes are available look like inside and out, the pros, the cons, the floor plans, all that fun stuff. Yet while we're previewing these homes, becoming an expert, because that's all it really takes, is just go see some homes to become an expert in the inventory. While we go see the inventory and preview these homes, who are we meeting? Who are we meeting face to face?
Agents.
Yeah, and who are we speaking to?
The agents.
Agents, yeah. So isn't that a way of getting to know each other? They get to know you, you get to know them. They know what you look like, you know what they look like. It is forming a type of relationship. So even as a new agent, you can definitely do that. What I found is that many agents just don't. They don't take the time to actually go preview the inventories in their chosen niches where they like to be experts in. And all it takes is a little bit of footwork, just go see the inventory. I think here in I know that in East Rutherford there's like 3 homes available, so it wouldn't take you that long to see all the inventory. Yet in the surrounding towns, if your niche is in the surrounding towns, how many homes are available? Is it 20 homes, 30 homes? There can't be that many homes. It might take you a few weeks to go see it. Yet once you're an expert in the inventory, you exude a higher level of confidence. You were able to build a higher level of trust between you and the client. It does go a long way to form expertise, yet it does take time, and that's part of our job description to prepare for those opportunities to go see those homes prior to the situations arising, and that helps a lot. Now, when I say concessions, it's not the sellers that are conceding anything, it's the buyers that are conceding, right? What are the buyers giving up? What's the first thing to go out the window? Can somebody tell me?
Inspection.
Yeah. Do we know do we know the word usage? What word usage are you using?
Contingencies.
Say again.
Contingencies.
Yes, but what's the word usage that you're using?
As is.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things. I'm going to expand on what you just said. I think it was Milton. So yeah, so what are we writing? What are we communicating to the other party? Buyer to purchase as is, with the exception of, and then fill in the blank, dot, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of agents ask me, well, what do you mean? What do you add to that? Well, buyer to purchase as is, with the exception of structural, environmental. You can put mechanical, health, safety, whatever you want to add on there. So with the exception of, and then add in whatever you want to strengthen your offer. Now, I will add, that is not the same as waiving your inspection contingency. Those are two completely different things. We're not waiving our inspection contingency. The only time we really do that is if it's a builder that's knocking the house down. And even then we're saying, with the exception of an oil tank in the ground. So the, there's a huge difference between saying I'm waiving my inspection contingency, which we never recommend a buyer, compared to purchasing as is with the exception of, right? Now, follow-up question to that is, do our clients know what that means? When we say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, let's strengthen our offer by doing this, do they know what we mean?
They should. The agent should be explaining that to them.
Yeah, they don't do this day in and day out. We do this day in and day out, right? So it's our job to educate them as that they feel a lot more comfortable actually doing so. Because if we don't explain it to them, they'll be less likely to be agreeable to it, which will also weaken their offer, considering probably every single other offer in this type of situation will be utilizing it, inserting it in their offers to strengthen their own offers, right? And then what else? What else are the buyers conceding in these type of situations? What's the next thing that they give up?
Maybe they'll come above appraisal if it under appraises.
Yeah, so they're either waiving their appraisal contingency or limiting their appraisal contingency, right? So the word usage to use on that is just simple: buyer to waive appraisal contingency or buyer to waive appraisal contingency up to, and then whatever amount you put in. So not every buyer will have the ability to do so, yet if they do have the ability to do so and are agreeable to it, then that will strengthen your offer. It goes a long way when we explain to them what the worst case scenario is, what the best case scenario is, and then of course take action on it. So we have to educate them about as to what that means. Many buyers are using this tool to strengthen their offers. They're waiving their appraisal. Now that doesn't mean that you don't need to conduct an appraisal. I get that question asked a lot. The lender is still going to require an appraisal to be conducted, even though a lot of them are doing appraisal waivers right now, themselves are doing desktop appraisals, yet you still need to do the appraisal. What you're communicating to the other party is that if there's an issue with the appraisal, we're still going to be moving forward. That's what we're looking to communicate, right? And then, of course, terms. The simplest of terms is, of course, closing date. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think that by putting let's say a 30-day close or a quick close on an offer, that you're actually strengthening your offer. Many of the sellers don't know where they're going. You might actually be weakening your offer compared to strengthening your offer. It's a simple question that when you pick up the phone, you ask the listing agent a simple question: when is your seller's preferred closing date? Right? I can share with you also that I've never had a listing agent, when asked what's the seller's preferred closing date, I've never had any of them say none of your business. Okay, so it's a simple question to ask, and then it also reveals a lot of information. We'll get the last one to the leaseback soon, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. There's different ways to strengthen offers. There's different creative ways too. I've seen where the buyer will be responsible for the CO. For many of these towns, sellers responsible for obtaining the CO, and it's usually in a builder type scenario. Yet a lot of buyers nowadays, to strengthen their offers, to say, you know what, I'll take responsibility for the CO and address anything that gets flagged during the inspection. That's a creative way to strengthen an offer, is it not? Some sellers, maybe they're older, they have a lot of stuff in the house they don't want to be throwing out, moving out, saying, you know what, take out whatever you want. The rest leave in the house. I'll junk it out. That's another creative way to strengthen our offer. That's what's important to them, right? When we're making that phone call and we say, what's important other than price, what's important to your seller? The listing agent might actually tell you if you ask the question. If you don't ask the question, you won't get the answer. So ask the question. So there's different creative ways to strengthen offers. I've had a seller that said they were concerned with the buyer canceling over the flood insurance, and the buyer strengthened their offer by waiving their flood insurance contingency. Is basically communicating to the other party, we're not going to cancel regardless what the flood insurance amount is. And we were able to get it through, right? I could get that offer accepted, even though there was multiple offer situations. So you have to discover what the most important thing or what the biggest concern is for the seller. The only way you can do that is by picking up the phone and asking questions. So escalation clause is the next one on this one. Yeah, I just need you to know it's a seldomly used tool. It's a rarely used tool in real estate, yet it is a tool that is used every now and then. I'm just going to mention this about escalation clauses. Know when not to use it. And what I mean by that is that there are situations that we don't want to necessarily be using it. A lot of sellers, a lot of listing agents are anti-escalation clauses. Just ask the simple question, is it okay to use one or not? And they'll tell you, right? They're sure to tell you. And then, of course, let's just say theoretically you're with a mortgage and you know you're up against a cash offer. Well, going $1,000 over a cash offer is not necessarily going to help you either. So just know when to use it and when not to use it. I'm going to review the word usage on the next slide. So just, I know some of you guys are probably thinking about, well, if we did want to use it, what would we say? Hold on to that thought. We're going to get to that in a second. As far as highest and best is a tool, in my opinion, the best tool for a seller and a listing agent to obtain top dollar in these type scenarios, to squeeze top dollar out of a buyer and a buyer's agent. Yet, I will share with you that not all do. On a rare occasion, there is exceptions every now and then. The seller will not do a highest and best. They'll accept an offer that looks good to them and they'll move forward with it. Well, what we don't want to be doing is that we don't want to assume. We don't want to assume they're doing a highest and best. And then we're advising our clients as a strategy, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, as a strategy, let's just submit an initial offer just so we're in the mix. And then we'll update our offer right before the deadline. And lo and behold, they don't even do a highest and best. They accept an offer. They move forward with it. It's not your clients. Congratulations. You are this close to getting fired because you assumed. All you needed to do was ask the listing agent a simple question. Do you anticipate doing a highest and best? Yes, yes, no, no. They will tell you they typically do. No. So just be aware that asking questions goes a long way. Letter to seller. I feel like I need to put an asterisk next to this one lately. We also like to call them love letters and bio letters. It's a simple question from my perspective. Does it help strengthen an offer or does it weaken an offer? Yeah, it helps strengthen an offer. The majority of agents that have utilized this tool to strengthen their offers will tell you that there were occasions where their buyers were able to obtain where they would not have obtained if it wasn't for these letters. The only thing I say about these love letters, bio letters, letters to sellers is that just be careful with them. I have to say that. Just be careful what you put into it, and don't put any information that can be used against your clients, right? Lenders. It's funny when I get to this one, when I say lender, and some agents are like, well, how does a lender strengthen or weaken your offer? Well, it's a simple question. Does a lender strengthen or weaken your offer? What do you guys think?
It could be either, depending on the lender.
So you're saying that who your lender is does matter. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. So if you were Mrs. Listing Agent and you had your top two offers, one of them was ABC Mortgage out of Missouri and the other one was Guaranteed Rate, which one would be a stronger offer if everything else was comparable?
Rate.
Yeah,
Yep.
Guaranteed Rate, right? Because we know and trust them. We know that when they say you're good to go, you're good to go. So who the lender is does matter. It is a way to strengthen or weaken our offer. A lot of listing agents, when they see like the big banks, I'm not going to mention any names, when they see the big banks compared to some of the lenders that they know and trust, again, the ones that know and trust are stronger offers than the big banks because of the question marks, the uncertainty. Now, there are different ways that lenders can strengthen your offers. other than who the lender is. So some of those ways are they can get you through underwriting, right? I've had clients who got through underwriting and it gave me the ability to communicate to the listing agent, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Listing Agent, in this case, it was Mrs. Listing Agent on both occasions. My client is already through underwriting. All they need is 3 conditions to close, who the title company is, do the appraisal, and pay that homeowner's insurance policy for the year / receipt, right? Those are the only 3 conditions. When would you like to close? It does strengthen your offer when they do get them through underwriting. A lot of lenders are going back to that. They stepped away from it because they were too busy. They had too many files. Now a lot of the lenders are getting back to that to get their clients through underwriting. So it helps a lot. It does strengthen an offer. And then of course the lenders can also do us a solid and actually pick up the phone and call the listing agent, or have the listing agent call them and say, hey, listen, this is a very, 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 very qualified buyer. I've already obtained all the financial documents. They're good to go. We're ready when you are. That helps a lot too, or they can write a love letter of their own. So there are different ways that a lender can strengthen an offer. Deposits, it's the next one on this list. It's a small way. It's not really a big way, but it is a small way to strengthen an offer. In our neck of the woods here in North Jersey, we're used to providing additional deposits, especially 10 days after completion of attorney review. Well, what if we gave them a larger deposit? What if instead of an additional deposit, we gave them an initial deposit? Because we don't do initial deposits around here. Does that make it a more serious, a stronger offer? Yeah, and slightly, right? So it's creative ways that you can get with the deposits. And now we'll get to the leasebacks, also known as use of occupancy. Remember when I said, when you pick up the phone and ask the listing agent some questions, and you ask them what your seller's preferred closing date is, and then they say, let's say they say, well, my seller doesn't know where they need to go and they need to sell in order to buy. Well, let's get creative for a second. Mr. and Mrs. Listing Agent, would it be helpful to your seller if we closed on the property, they stayed in the property, put the equity in their pocket, which gave them the ability to purchase without a sale contingency while still staying in the property? Would that be helpful? Would that benefit your seller? The answer is yes, yes, and yes. That's where leasebacks and use of occupancies come into play, and that's where we can use it to strengthen our offers if our buyers are agreeable to it. But again, we have to explain it to them up front. And I will also share with you that anything that we come to agreement on, whether it's limiting or waiving your appraisal contingency, or saying as is with the exception of this, or that, or leasebacks, or whatever it may be, get everybody on the same page. Make sure everybody's on the same page, and that includes your attorneys. The last thing we want is we want to come to agreement on something, and then the attorneys end up changing everything in attorney review on the writers, and it's unacceptable to the other party. And congratulations, your deal just went sideways because you didn't get everybody on the same page. So as you're sending the intro emails or the cover sheets or transaction cover sheets, however it is you communicate the executed agreement with all parties involved to the attorneys, make sure that you get everybody on the same page. It's all listed there, where everybody can see it. This is what we agreed to, this, and that, so that there's no miscommunication and there's no increased likelihood for things going sideways. We don't want that. We worked so hard to obtain these deals. The last thing we want is for it to go sideways over something small as a miscommunication, right? Do I have any questions about anything so far? I got a few more slides.
Yes, I had a question on leaseback. So if you have a leaseback, written in your contract, right, and you say you close on, let's say, January 15th, and then the sellers, they want to, say leaseback till April. So the new mortgage kicks in, right? So that's what they'll be responsible for the new mortgage of the new buyer?
So
as
typically,
rent payment?
Typically, it doesn't last for more than 60 days.
Okay.
That's usually the longest. The lenders don't like to go longer than that. So that's usually the longest time frame, one. And to answer the second part of the question, usually the standard quo is to minus the principal. The principal is the new buyer's money, right? It's their money. So by paying their first mortgage payment, which by the way skips a month anyway, their first full mortgage payment won't be, let's just say today's what's today, 17th, 18th, whatever it is. It won't be December 1st. It's going to be January 1st, their first full payment. Yet the the seller, which is now the tenant, right? Because it converted from a buyer seller relationship to a tenant landlord relationship for a short time, will pay an agreed upon rent, yet it's usually minus the principal amount of the mortgage.
Okay. And
your
all that
daily-
math is done by the title
Yeah, I let the
company,
attorneys handle it. I just let them,
Okay.
you have to let your buyers know in advance, because there, some buyers will, if you don't set the expectation, they're gonna set their own expectations, and that's where things go sideways also. So we have to set the
Okay.
expectation from the get-go. Hey, listen, your daily rate will not include your principal amount, and then the attorneys can easily handle it after.
Okay, thank you.
Not that it can't. Again, it's always per agreement. I'm just telling you what the what the typical is, what the typical scenario is. So it's not that they can't agree to a different amount. Everything's per agreement. Yet that's what it usually is. The daily rates don't include the principal.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Another thing, like, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't know what an underwriting is.
Okay, so when it comes to the lender, right? They have the loan officer, you have your processors, and you have your underwriters. The underwriters are as judge, jury, and execution. Consider it that way.
Okay.
They either make it or break your deals, right? They're consider them the judges. They they're going to ask for all the information. They're going to review everything to make sure your client is credit worthy, so to speak, for them to loan them 400 to 500,000 or whatever amount of money they're talking to them about. So the underwriters are in the background, and what happens is they typically come into play it's a regular transaction after the appraisal is conducted. So what'll happen is the mortgage commitment letter typically comes in after the appraisal report is provided to the underwriter. They'll now review the client's whole file, and they'll provide us a mortgage commitment letter. And at that point, the underwriter will expect all the conditions on the mortgage commitment letter to be submitted by the buyer and everybody else. And when that happens, when all the conditions are submitted, they may say, okay, we're good, which at that point they'll provide a clear to close, and they might come back and ask for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever more conditions. And then when those are submitted, you'll get the magic words called clear to close. You can go ahead and schedule your closing day and time with your attorney.
One question for you.
Yep.
So on escalation clause, I know you said that that's not always used, but can you explain that? I'm not too familiar with escalation clauses.
It's a good question. Hold that thought. The next slide, we're going to talk about it a little bit more.
Got it.
Okay.
Ron,
A few
I have
more
a
things
question.
What? Go ahead.
How will the leaseback affect to a first-time FHA buyer?
Well, I've done it before. It doesn't. It's, again, everything is per agreement. It does strengthen your offer in a creative way, yet some buyers won't be comfortable with it. Not everybody's comfortable with it, just like not everybody's comfortable with waiving this, or that. All right. A lot of buyers will say, I don't want to say as is. So we change the word usage. Okay, so if we don't say as is, can we at least communicate that we're not going to be nickel and diming them during the inspection period? Are you okay with that? Yes. So, sometimes you have to soften it up, but you have to prepare them either way. So, and that still doesn't mean they're going to be agreeable to it. I have some buyers who've put 25% down and they said, I'm not waiving my appraisal contingency. I'm like, okay. And that's so it's not for everybody, but we're still going to advise them best we can. We're the advisors, we're the consultants. We're going to provide them the best possible options, and they're they're going to pick the best option, the best path forward for them. So just because the leaseback or abuse of occupancy is an option or it's something the seller wants, it doesn't necessarily mean that the buyer will be agreeable to it. But you can do it. A lot of people do.
Thank you.
So a few more things just to strengthen our offer. It's a tool that we utilize that the majority of agents don't utilize. While it's not a buyer consultation class, I'm doing that one tomorrow for the buyer series, tomorrow at 4 o'clock. The buyer consultation presentation strategy session, whatever you want to call it, it does help us convert at a much higher level in these type scenarios because it does help us prepare our buyers in a much higher level in a much better way. So I would recommend and encourage everybody to do what's called a buyer presentation consultation discussion with their buyers if they're looking to convert at a much higher level. And we'll talk about it more in detail tomorrow, right? Because if you're communicating the buying process, you're speaking about the market conditions, you're answering the real estate related questions they have, you educated them to the best of your ability, it does make them a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, especially in these type of situations if they know what happens next. I'm going to give you guys a tip also. If you want to be better than the majority of agents out there, regardless whether they're buyer's agents or listing agents, all you have to do is end your conversations with a few simple words. This is what happens next. That's it. You want to, and the reason I say that is because we're all human beings. How do we feel when we don't know what happens next? How do you feel? Feel frustrated, more likely to be frustrated, angered, upset, right? So what happens when we know what happens next? We feel a lot more comfortable, Isn't that our job? As buyer's agents, as listing agents, whatever it may be, to lower their anxiety level? Well, a simple way to do that is just tell them what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we just submitted an offer. This is what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we just had an accepted offer. This is what happens next. We just completed a term review. This is what happens next. We just conducted a home inspection. This is what happens next. This is what happens next. This is what happens next. Can you see how that helps? Because they're not going to remember everything that we're going to tell them. There's no way. Nobody does. So we always have to repeat ourselves. We always have to make sure that we're on the same page, or else there's an increased likelihood for surprises, and we don't like surprises. We don't want surprises. All right. So preparation is a part of that. We're going to prepare them best we possibly can. We're going to prepare them. Yet we are also going to prepare ourselves. What makes me say that? Well, it's simple. You see, can we communicate the buying process if we don't know the buying process? Can we communicate the market conditions if we don't know the market conditions? Can we communicate how to strengthen an offer in multiple offer situations if we do not know how to strengthen an offer in multiple offer situations? That's what we're preparing for. We're preparing for these scenarios before they appear, because what happens is when they do appear and we're not prepared for them, what does our conversion look like? Not as good as it could be. So we're always in preparation mode. We're always getting better. We're learning, we're growing. That's also part of the reason why you're all here. We're all looking to develop at a much higher level, on a personal level, so that we are ready for those opportunities, that we can take advantage of those opportunities. And so those opportunities don't become missed opportunities. We want to take advantage of them. And for that, we are preparing, right? Attorney selection. How does attorney selection affect our transactions? How do they strengthen our offers or weaken our offers? Well, let me just share this with you. Some attorneys are deal makers, and some are deal breakers, and some are solution finders, and some are fault finders, and some are the type where they know exactly what their clients want, and without asking for consulting with them, they will make decisions for them. We don't necessarily want those type of attorneys. We want the responsive types. We want the ones that are charging flat rates, the one that understand the market conditions, the one that actually see us on the emails. Yeah, we want those type of attorneys. And I'll also tell you, the last thing we want is we're working so hard to obtain these offers, these homes for our clients in these type of situations, and they don't have an attorney selected yet. And now they're the type that want to speak with an attorney or meet with an attorney face to face, and they're taking their sweet time in doing so and selecting an attorney because they can't get them on the phone or they can't meet them face to face. And it's now 2 days later and we haven't selected an attorney yet. What is likely to occur? You're likely going to get canceled. You're likely to get kicked out. They're going to say, hey, listen, you're wasting our time. You're not serious. They're going to go to another offer. So you've worked so hard and it fell apart because they didn't select an attorney. So what can we do as agents to make sure that they're good to go when the time comes? Well, during your consultations or during your meetings, you're going to ask them a simple question. Do you know who you're going to be working with? Which attorney you're going to select to represent you in the transaction? And the majority of them say no. A lot of them are first-time home buyers, and they say no. So would it be helpful to you if I sent you a list of recommendations that will take very, very good care of you? Yes, it would, right? So then we sent it over, and now they speak to them, they meet with them, whatever they need. They selected one, and now you're good to go when you get that accepted offer. So we do have some responsibility when things go sideways. You can't just say, well, my client, it's their fault. No, we have some responsibility in that we need to prepare them as well. So definitely get your attorney recommendations out there. Make sure that they select a good one. No different with inspectors. Obviously, inspectors can make or break deals. Some are alarmists. Some will say, just highlight the major issues. So there's not all inspectors, not all attorneys, not all real estate agents are created equal. Some are better than others. And of course, communication is key, right? We want to get everybody always on the same page. We don't want any concerns out there. There's always going to be anxiety and concern, or a natural level of it. Yet we want to convert that into excitement and comfort by providing information always. So every little thing, report back to them, let them know what's going on, let them know what the best way forward is, and that will help us improve our conversion in these types of situations. Now, Milton, you mentioned about escalation clause. This is the word usage that I use. So I don't like to use it personally, yet many agents do utilize the tool of an escalation clause. This is the word usage that I use. Now it's going to go in two different places. One, it's definitely going in the email that when I'm communicating my my offer to the other party, the listing agent. So it's definitely going to be in that email along with everything else that I'm doing to strengthen my offer. And while the brokers don't like it, the listing agents want us to put anything into the additional items clause number 43 on page 13 of the offer. So it might go in there as well. And the word usage is simple. It's by submitting buyer submitting offer with escalation clause that will have, it doesn't have to be 1,000, it could be 5,000, it could be 500. There's no right or wrong here. It's whatever you put in. That will have X amount of dollars increments above any other offer the seller receives up to a maximum amount of, again, insert in blank here, evidence of other competing offers to be presented during attorney review. We've actually had, them kind of black out the personal information of the previous offers and just shows, hey, listen, we really had an offer that was just behind you. So that's the word usage that we use. I'll put it in two different places. Again, discover if you could use it or not, if you want to use it or not, because it may weaken your offer, especially when in scenarios where the listing agent and the seller are anti-escalation clause. There are scenarios like those. Okay.
Ron, question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, Milton.
Why would a listing agent or a seller be opposed to something like this?
Well, a lot of listing agents, they're opposed to it, I think, for the one major reason that they can't explain it to their sellers. So if they don't like it, they don't want you to use it, don't use it. From the seller standpoint, I can see why they might get annoyed. Let's just say theoretically, you're the highest price and you're at 500 and you said you were willing to go up to 520, but you're only paying them 500. I can see why that would annoy them.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
I'm okay with it because as a buyer's agent, well, the seller still got top dollar. So I'm okay with it, but I can see why it would annoy a seller. They're thinking, oh, we could have squeezed $20,000 more out or something like that. All right. So if we lose, which happens often, even to the best of us, my conversion is 1 out of 5. And that's actually really, really good for the market conditions for the product that I'm dealing with. So if you lose, now what? All right. Well, I say don't get caught up in the bidding. Right. You're gonna put your best foot forward. You're gonna give it your best shot, and you're gonna go next. And what happens a lot of time, it's not even in our control. We can't control everything. We can't influence everything. And many times, your buyers, your clients, they went as high as they possibly could. They couldn't go higher, and somebody else did. And they went well above asking, and they weren't willing to go higher, and somebody else did. And sometimes it gets so crazy. There's like 40 offers. And they're thinking, this is crazy, let's just go next. And there's a lot of things that are not in our control. So we're just going to give it the best shot, and we are going to move forward. I will tell you that even if you don't think that you're going to be able to obtain in these type of situations, I'm always recommending and encouraging my clients, my buyers, to submit the offer anyway and get in the backup position. The fallout rate is a lot higher nowadays than it used to be. The national average used to be 1 out of 10. With all the craziness that's going on, it's closer to 1 out of 5. That means 1 out of 5, 20% of the accepted offers, they fall out. for one reason or another. There's probably a dozen different reasons why they fall out. So you want to get in the backup position, even if you're the third, fourth, or fifth buyer. But like 2 weeks, a month later, when it actually falls out, the other 2 or 3 buyers ahead of you may have already found homes. They stopped looking. The seller doesn't want to go back to market. Get in the backup position. You got to stay positive. We always got to create the path, the vision for our clients. You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we didn't obtain the home this time, and I know you really like this one, but I know the outcome, the achievement, the accomplishment you're looking for, which is to find a home that you're going to enjoy. Every day you come home to it, we're going to make that happen, and I'm going to help you do that. Sounds good, great, wonderful. We're creating that vision for them. We're getting them focused on the outcome. You always got to stay positive, and sometimes we have to create that vision for the clients. And I'll tell you, we're better prepared for the next one. And it's not just us as agents, we're better prepared for the next one, but so are the buyers. The buyers are now becoming a more professional buyer. Think about that for a second. If they've been through this type of scenario, does that make them a more experienced buyer? Do they know how to strengthen an offer in multiple situations more so than they did before? The answer is yes. They're a more professional, more seasoned buyer because they went through the experience, and so are you as an agent. The more times you go through these scenarios, you're going to be a more seasoned agent. You're going to be more experienced agent in these type of scenarios. It's going to make you a better agent. So it makes them a better buyer, and it makes you a better agent. So it's that's the silver lining in this whole scenario, especially when you don't get it right. It makes you better, and they will come in stronger. They will come in cleaner next time. They're going to be more flexible to seller needs, and you're going to get the job done. You keep looking, you will find something, and you will obtain something. If you stop looking and stop submitting offers, you will not find something. It's a numbers game. How many offers do I got to put in to get an offer accepted? Well, there is a number to it. I don't know if it's 5 or 10 or 12 or whatever the number is with you and the product in the area that you're looking for. But yet, if you keep submitting offers, will you eventually get one? And the answer is yes. Just keep submitting offers. Keep working. I know it's difficult to go back and start showing homes again and submitting offers again. Yet that's part of the job description in today's market conditions. And you're not necessarily starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And what I mean by that is, again, you know exactly what they're looking for. They know more what they're looking for. You're better for it. They're better for it. They're a stronger buyer. You're going to improve your conversion because of all those factors that come into play. So we actually start from experience, not from scratch. So again, just keep working, keep hustling, keep putting the energy, the effort, the time into it, and eventually the outcome that you're all looking for will happen. Right? Any questions so far? What time is it? There's no questions. That's a good thing. That means I covered a wealth of information, and I gave you guys a lot of value. So that's awesome. So I got some scenarios for you. It's always fun to talk about real life scenarios. So if you guys hang in there with me for a few minutes, we can talk about that. All right. So I always like to give these examples, and these are real life examples. The question is, how would we advise our clients in these type of scenarios? So let's just say the scenario is, well, property is listed on a Tuesday. It's priced at market value and likely to receive several offers over a matter of days. What are some of the strategies that we can communicate to our buyers so they can make an educated real estate decision? What do you guys think?
Maybe go see the property yourself first, so that firstly, you know if it's something the buyer is looking for.
Well, that we're always doing, but let's just say they saw it. It's a Tuesday, the first day on the market.
Well, let them know that it's priced really well and that this is a property that might go into a bidding war situation. So if this is something they're really interested in, then you have to create a strategy as to how you want to present it. So you want to reach out to the listing agent and ask them if they're accepting offers at this time, if there's a deadline on accepting offers, if there's a final and best, I guess those kind of questions.
Yeah. So how do you communicate it to the buyer? How are we communicating strategy to the buyer? Let's say they like it, they want to submit an offer. What are we telling them?
That this is what I will do. I'm going to reach out to the agent. I'm going to communicate with them, get an answer for these things, and then I'm going to, get back to you, let's say 6 p.m. today with those answers, and then we can work on presenting an offer based on these questions answered.
And what if the listing agent says, I'm having an open house Saturday and Sunday. I'm not canceling for any reason. What are we telling our clients?
Are they, firstly, you have to find out if they're accepting offers before the open house, or if they're only accepting offers
You got it.
after the open house.
That's what I was fishing for, Monty. Thanks. So the strategy is some listing agents will shut it down. Some sellers don't because of COVID or whatever their personal reasons are. They don't want 1,000 groups. If they get a really good offer, will they shut it down? We have to discover that. We have to call the listing agent and we can submit an offer. Yet, if they say we're not canceling no matter what, we're going to allow the activity through the weekend. Well, what are we advising our clients? Well, there's two different ways to go about it, right? One is Mrs. Buyer. They're going to have the activity through the weekend. We could submit an offer at asking now, or just wait until Sunday at 4 o'clock before we submit any offer. And there's so there's two ways to go about it. Yet, if they say yes, there's an opportunity to shut it down, we'll come in strong and clean, try to shut it down, cancel all showings, cancel the open house, all that stuff. But the only way to do that is to pick up the phone. All right, let's go to the next scenario. Properties listed for 1
Ron,
week.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
But for that scenario you just had, let's say the sellers still wanted to go through with the open house. What's the advantage of waiting to put in the offer after the open house instead
So it's a
of
good question,
before?
and I'll tell you why. So you have to put yourself in the listing agent's shoes. Now, what happens is, and I have this strategy sessions or discussions with my clients all the time, and they get really excited and they want to put the offers in now and today. And I have to calm them down and say, hey, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, if we put an offer in today, they're very likely to use it against you. Is that what you want? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, let's just say theoretically they're having the open house Saturday and Sunday. Everybody that walks through that house, let's just say they're interested in the house. What's the first question they ask? What's the first question that somebody might ask?
We have an offer at.
You have any offers? Why, yes. Yes, we do. We actually have an above asking offer. What does that do to the price?
That raises it.
It artificially inflates the price. Is that what you want, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? And the answer is no. Great. Let's wait for Sunday at 4 o'clock. Does that make sense? So if there's no way to shut this down, you're either just putting in, and let's just say that they have other offers. Okay, if they already have 2 or 3 offers, whatever, I'll put an offer for asking just to it be in the mix, keep updated, fine. But if there's no other offers, I'm waiting until after the weekend. It matters what day. That's why I say it's Tuesday, it's Friday. It really matters what day. I don't like to submit offers on Fridays at all, unless I know for a fact that I can shut it down, because they will use it against me. Why wouldn't they? It's their job to use it against me. It's their job to inflate the price. It's their job to obtain top dollar, squeeze top dollar of a buyer's and a buyer's agent. That's the job of a good listing agent, right? So why give them that ammunition? It's all about strategy. So we have to be able to communicate strategy to our clients. And that's why these scenarios are so much fun. So properties listed for 1 week. It's priced well at $389. It's a Friday. What are you doing? I just kind of answered the question for you. It's going to get 20 offers. What are you doing?
At least waiting till the weekend's over to do an
Yeah,
open
you wait
house.
till the weekend's over. Just be patient, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. We'll submit an offer. We'll discover where we need to be in order to obtain, and I'll communicate all the information back to you. And right before the deadline, we'll submit an updated offer so that we can position you in the best possible way. Sounds good, great, wonderful. Let's go next. Yeah, you're gonna wait for the weekend. Again, you don't want it to use against you, or it's not going to mean anything anyway. They're going to do it over the weekend. I don't like submitting offers on Fridays as a buyer's agent. I don't think it promotes my client's best interest. So let's go next. Property already has multiple offers. Listing agent is not familiar with your lender. What are you guys doing? What are some strategies that we can communicate to our buyers so they can increase likely to obtain? They can get this house. Because we said before, lenders can either strengthen or weaken our offers. What are we doing?
Maybe ask the listing agent what lenders they're cooperating with.
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, think if you actually did that, if you called the listing agent and say, hey, who's your preferred lender? and you actually got your buyer pre-approved with their preferred lenders. Does that strengthen your offer? Yeah, there are some creative ways to strengthen offers, but you gotta pick up the phone in order to do it, which the majority of agents
Ron,
don't.
how does that work? What if they're already pre-approved with a different lender?
They can
go-
they can work with whoever they want. They can work
they
with
can get
whoever they want.
pre-approved.
Last I checked, you can also shop around until you're very late in the game, right? So getting
Got it.
pre-approved with a lender doesn't mean they have to work with that lender. But getting pre-approved
Okay.
with another lender definitely strengthens your offer with their preferred lender. So they can end up going with whoever they want, as long as the listing agent and the seller have peace of mind that this client was okayed by my lender, which means we're good to go. We're gonna get the closing table where they use my lender or not.
Also, like when I think lenders, when they send out their appraisers, if you know the lender, you know that they'll be sending out an appraiser that works in that town or area. So when you get the appraisal, it would be fair, right? Like
That's a good
an
point.
advantage
The
too.
local lenders use local appraisers. The non-local lenders or the big banks or whatever, they bid it out, and you can be getting an appraiser that's not even close to being in the area. You can have somebody coming to Bergen County from South Jersey, right, from like 3 hours away. It's and the local lenders use local appraisers that know what's going on in the local market conditions. They know how crazy it is, and they're actually a little bit more flexible. The local lenders that I use also lately, it's 50-50. It depends on the down payment, really. Yet they're waiving the appraisal, which means they're doing desktop appraisals. They don't have to physically go and do an appraisal. They're just approving the appraisal amount remotely, so to speak. So there's advantages of using the local lenders anyway. We got a few more minutes. Let me see if I can get one more in here. So it's Saturday and your buyers love the property. They love the property. Currently has no written offers, seems to be priced well. How do you suggest they move forward? What do you guys think?
Is there an open house on Sunday?
No open house.
Get on the phone, talk to the agent,
Right, right. The
figure
offer.
figure out how to close.
Yeah. So you, again, picking up the phone, discovering if there's a way to come to agreement right then and there, or wait until the activity is over and go through the weekend. It will require picking up the phone again and speaking to the listing agent compared to just submitting an offer. You want to discover the information so that you can put your buyer in the best possible position. So if there's no open house, you can go ahead and submit the offer. It does. It doesn't hurt because, the activity either is going to happen or not happen with or without your offer. So there's different scenarios, there's different factors. What I'm looking to communicate to you guys, there's like 1,000 different moving parts always. And the factors that are in play in that specific scenario, you're going to communicate strategy to your buyer. The ability to communicate strategy to your buyer makes you a better agent, makes you more of an expert compared to your traditional agent. They will appreciate it. All right. So it is a skill. It's a negotiation skill, and it's required if you want to improve your conversion in these type of scenarios. So I think we have like 5 minutes left. What are some things that you guys you picked up, or some ahas? Are you going to utilize items of value? What are some things that you that I actually was able to communicate to you in a very clear and good way? What did you guys get out of today?
I think getting to know more agents, especially as a new agent, like forming relationships with other people in this business.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Mansi, it doesn't matter what town you go to. It really doesn't matter what town or what area you go to, what niche you work in. There's only a handful of agents that do most of the market share in any particular town or area. All right. It's like the 10 or 12 agents, or even less, 5 or 8 agents do the bulk of the business in a particular area or town. You might want to be friendly with them, especially don't step on any toes, especially if you're looking to be an expert and have a higher level of production units volume in those areas. You want to be on good terms with all of those agents, since you're going to be coming across, you're going to be crossing paths quite often. So you want to get to know them. You want to be friendly with them.
Thank you.
What else did you guys pick up today? What did you get? What else did you get out of today?
Well, sales is just about communicating, number one. So, over communicate where you can, make sure everyone's on the same page, just makes the process go a lot smoother. Conversion
no
rate will
such
go up from
thing-
there too.
Scott, there's no such thing as under communicating. All right. We can't communicate enough to somebody who's anxious, to somebody that doesn't know what happens next, to somebody that doesn't do this day in and day out. There's no such thing. We want to be communicating as much as possible. And like Scott said, over communicate. What else?
I like the lease back option. I think that's something that we don't use enough, and could be a creative way to get the offer accepted.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just going to remind you guys, pick up the phone, please. Pick up the phone, please, please, please pick up the phone and ask some questions. You'll be pleasantly surprised how much information you obtain from the listing agents. Yes, some of them will be a bunker and not give you any, but yet many of them will tell you and communicate to you some valuable information, maybe even tell you their life story and the seller's life story and give you all the ammunition you need to strengthen your offer. So ask the questions. You don't ask the questions, you don't get the answers. Right? Prepare your buyers, set the expectations, communicate to them how to strengthen offers. All right. So we're always getting better. So, and that's exactly why you're here today. That's why I'm here today. I trust you got value out of our time together today. I do need you to know that I welcome your calls, your emails, your phone calls. If you guys have any questions ever, just reach out to me. I'm always very, very responsive. I like to say, if I don't get back to you in 2 minutes, I'm probably dead. So it's welcomed for you to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to see you again. I forget what date. We're going to be doing buyer consultation next time we meet. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. I trust you got value. Let's get back to work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.